I got a lot of my standard lengths cut and stacked back here, but I'm starting to run into the ugly wood. And this is what I'm going to do to stack the ugly wood. Now it's kind of like a Holzhausen, not quite, it's not filled all the way to the top. Since this was wood from last year, I don't want to add the fresher wood to this. I want to keep all the wood together. So what I've done, I have some pallets I got for free. They're pretty broken and busted, but that's not going to matter. We're going to make another one of these. Now, it's not really a Holzhausen, it's more like a Firewood volcano. I got more of the standard cuts on the outside. You can see a lot of this wood is really short, maybe about 8 inches long, and all the weird stuff goes right in the center. And for aesthetics, since it's next to my garden, I want my next Firewood volcano to be the same size. So I saved the string I used originally to make this. Now let me show you how I'm going to get a perfect circle using the string. So I got a Sharpie here. I'm going to take this stick. I'm going to find pretty close to the center here. And I'm going to take my stick and jam it into the ground. So I have a knot here to hold this, and I put another knot on the end here because I'm going to take this Sharpie and I'm going to put it through this loop, and I'm going to pull tight, and this is going to help me make a perfect circle. And you got to go slow because Sharpie's ink goes pretty slow. And all I'm going to do is just keep tension on this string and work my way around. It's a little tough to see, but now I got a Sharpie mark and a perfect circle on these ugly broken pallets. I got a nice load of wood here. A lot of this is the good stuff I'm going to stack back here. I do have some of the uglies mixed in here, so I'm just going to take this out and separate it, and then we're going to go get another load of the ugly stuff. I got all my standards here, and I was tossing some of the ugly pieces over here, but I also threw in some of these larger chunks here because the base of this, you're going to want to use the larger pieces. I also like using flatter pieces like this. And if you look at my platform here, it's not completely level. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of the wider pieces in the back and the skinnier pieces up front. And then I'm just going to take this wood and I'm going to look at my marks on here. It's not going to be perfect because this is a circle and the wood is straight, but we're going to try to get it as close as possible. And we're going to build a border just on the inside of the Sharpie line all the way around here. And just like I said, I'm going to use these skinnier pieces up top here and these thicker pieces in the back. With these two smaller gaps here, what I could do is go find some wood that would fit in here. I'm sure I do have it, but I'm just going to take ugly pieces like this and I'm just going to set it in there to complete the circle. All right, we are on our way here. We got a nice, decent circle to work with. Now let's start stacking some wood in here. For this bottom layer here, I prefer the longer pieces. I got a lot more longer pieces over there, but I'm going to use what I have now just to get started. So all we're going to do here, it's same concept. We're low over here, so we want to use the bigger logs on the back. We want to use the skinny stuff up front. We just take it, you stack it where the edge lines up with the edge of your circle. You want all your pieces of wood to point to the center. We are going to have some gaps in here, which is perfectly fine. It's going to let air to come through here. Definitely not the fastest way to stack wood. You can see here, I got some where I stacked more than one on top. Whenever you come across wood that could fit into an area real nice, I always put it in there to fill some of these gaps. We got this thing started. When I come across wood, I'm looking for places that the wood's going to fit best. So because we have this outside lip, we got an inside lane. We want to maintain that a little bit. We're going to try to keep these ends here vertical for the first 2 feet, kind of like this one. And then you can see we come back and we do another ring afterwards. Then after that, we're going to start sloping a little bit in. Take the wood we got, try to find a home for it. You can see I've been focusing on the back since that is the lowest side. I'm building that up first. When I'm stacking this, I want to keep that top as even as possible. Pretty self-explanatory. We are just finding a home for each piece of wood, trying to fill in some gaps. And if we don't, that's okay. It's just a little extra airflow. To a decent start. Just brought over a lot more wood here. I've sorted it between the longer pieces I'm going to use on the outside, some of the shorter ones that can fill some of the gaps, and then the really ugly ones. At this point, I'm going to start taking some of these bigger knotty pieces that I just can't split right now and use them to fill in the bottom, especially since we have all these broken pallets. And all these pieces we can't stack, putting them in here. As this thing gets taller and we start leaning in a little bit, it's going to be leaning into all these bad pieces in there. Got some of these bigger pieces, and then I can come back. We can grab chunks like this stuff when it dries. It's be good firewood. For now, we'll just toss it in. Might dry a little slower in here, but that's fine. I intend to leave this here probably for 2 years or so. I got enough wood drying elsewhere on racks, but I don't want to let stuff like this go to waste, and I don't want to just make big piles. So this system works for me. I got more wood to chop. I have the whole load I brought over here stacked in here. I made this top nice and even because I think we're ready to move on to the next step where we're going to put another ring around the outside. And let me show you why. As you start going higher, you can see where we started here, we were leaning down. As you go up, it starts to lean a little up. So if we come through here, we put more horizontal logs around here, we're going to start getting our angle again. And that angle is going to push against all these ugly pieces of wood in the center of this. If you run into these deep angles like this, don't be worried. We got so many different sizes of wood. We're going to be able to find the right pieces to fit. And I started throwing a little bit more of these knotty rounds in the center. And as we build this up, we are going to slowly bring the outside in to kind of form a dome. Just finding a home for everybody, regardless of beauty. Getting down to the home stretch here. Adding more slope to my top pieces. Is going to be a wrap. So we have the new Firewood volcano completed right next to the old one. It's a little bit meatier, but that's fine. We started our angle a little bit later on it, but we got all of the wood I wanted in here. We have all the ugly pieces in the center here, and we got a lot of airflow that's going to make its way through here. It really does look nice when you stack it this way. There's how I stack my ugly wood with this Firewood volcano Holzhausen type thing. I'm not going to cover these up, but they are going to sit here for a long time. And we'll come back in a year or two, check the moisture in some of this wood, see how the middle stuff is doing versus the stuff on the outsides. But until then, make sure you like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to this new channel. My other channel is Fast Gardening Michigan. So if you want to learn how to grow food with nature and not against nature, subscribe to that channel too. Thanks for watching.